See what if the thing driving you forward is also quietly destroying you. Not slowly. Not someday. Right now. Think about that for a moment. Because most people never do. Most people are moving too fast to stop and ask the question. And that's exactly the problem. Ambition is one of the most celebrated forces in human life. We praise it. We reward it. We build entire cultures around it. We name buildings after ambitious people. We write books about them. We make movies that make their obsession look romantic. We look at driven people and say, that's who I want to be. But nobody shows you what happens behind the scenes. Nobody talks about the 2 a.m. panic attacks. The birthday dinners you were physically present for but mentally absent from. The friendship that slowly faded because you kept rescheduling until the other person stopped trying. The moment you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. Nobody tells you that ambition can break you before it builds you. And here's what makes that so dangerous: it doesn't feel like breaking. It feels like progress. It feels like discipline. It feels like you're finally becoming the person you always wanted to be. Right up until the moment it doesn't. The same fire that forges you can consume you, if no one teaches you how to hold it. Today, we're going somewhere most motivational content refuses to go. We're not here to hype you up. We're not here to give you another morning routine or another list of habits of highly effective people. We're here to tell you the truth about ambition, the whole truth, the uncomfortable truth, so that when you walk away from this video, you carry that ambition with clarity instead of cost. With awareness instead of blind acceleration. This is not an anti-ambition video. I want to say that clearly right now. By the end, you'll understand why ambition might be one of the most important things you ever cultivate. But you need to understand it, really understand it, before it can serve you instead of consume you. Stay with me. This will change how you see yourself. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Not a small want. Not, I'd like a coffee. A deep, gnawing, all-consuming want. The kind that keeps you awake not because you're anxious, but because your mind is already building the thing before your eyes are even closed. Maybe it was a business you kept sketching on napkins. A creative project you'd been putting off for years. A promotion that felt just out of reach. A number in your bank account that represented something more than money, it represented proof. Proof that you were capable. That you were worth something. That all of it, all the sacrifice, all the years, meant something. Do you remember what it felt like to be inside that want? It felt electric, didn't it? It felt like purpose. Like every morning suddenly had a reason to exist. Like the alarm wasn't an enemy anymore, it was a signal. Get up. There's something to build. And for a while, ambition was the best thing that ever happened to you. You became sharper. More focused. You stopped wasting time on things that didn't matter. You found a version of yourself that was capable of more than you knew. You looked back at who you were a year ago and felt a genuine sense of growth. That feeling is real. That version of ambition is real. And it is worth protecting. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. And the shift was so gradual that most people don't notice it until they're already deep inside it. The drive that once felt like wind in your sails started to feel like a current pulling you under. You stopped sleeping well, not because you were lazy, but because your mind wouldn't stop running calculations. What else needs doing? What am I missing? What if this doesn't work? You started comparing. And not just casually. You started opening Instagram or LinkedIn and feeling something that you couldn't quite name, part envy, part anger, part shame. Someone younger was doing more. Someone with fewer resources had figured it out. And your own progress, which, objectively, was real and significant, felt small in comparison. You hit a goal and felt nothing. Well, not nothing exactly. A brief exhale. A moment that lasted maybe a day, maybe an afternoon. And then the hunger came back, bigger than before, and the goal you just reached already looked small from where you were now standing. Maybe you told yourself, this is just the cost of being serious. This is what it takes. You can't build something meaningful without sacrifice. And so you kept going. But what if that's not the cost of ambition? What if that's the signal, a quiet, persistent signal, that something has gone wrong? Customize your preferences, save jobs, and track your activity. What if the thing driving you forward is also quietly destroying you? Not slowly. Not someday. Right now. Think about that for a moment. Because most people never do. Most people are moving too fast to stop and ask the question. And that's exactly the problem. Ambition is one of the most celebrated forces in human life. We praise it. We reward it. We build entire cultures around it. We name buildings after ambitious people. We write books about them. We make movies that make their obsession look romantic. We look at driven people and say, that's who I want to be. But nobody shows you what happens behind the scenes. Nobody talks about the 2 a.m. panic attacks. The birthday dinners you were physically present for but mentally absent from. The friendship that slowly faded because you kept rescheduling until the other person stopped trying. The moment you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. Nobody tells you that ambition can break you before it builds you. And here's what makes that so dangerous: it doesn't feel like breaking. It feels like progress. It feels like discipline. It feels like you're finally becoming the person you always wanted to be. Right up until the moment it doesn't. The same fire that forges you can consume you, if no one teaches you how to hold it. Today, we're going somewhere most motivational content refuses to go. We're not here to hype you up. We're not here to give you another morning routine or another list of habits of highly effective people. We're here to tell you the truth about ambition, the whole truth, the uncomfortable truth, so that when you walk away from this video, you carry that ambition with clarity instead of cost. With awareness instead of blind acceleration. This is not an anti-ambition video. I want to say that clearly right now. By the end, you'll understand why ambition might be one of the most important things you ever cultivate. But you need to understand it, really understand it, before it can serve you instead of consume you. Stay with me. This will change how you see yourself. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Not a small want. Not, I'd like a coffee. A deep, gnawing, all-consuming want. The kind that keeps you awake not because you're anxious, but because your mind is already building the thing before your eyes are even closed. Maybe it was a business you kept sketching on napkins. A creative project you'd been putting off for years. A promotion that felt just out of reach. A number in your bank account that represented something more than money, it represented proof. Proof that you were capable. That you were worth something. That all of it, all the sacrifice, all the years, meant something. Do you remember what it felt like to be inside that want? It felt electric, didn't it? It felt like purpose. Like every morning suddenly had a reason to exist. Like the alarm wasn't an enemy anymore, it was a signal. Get up. There's something to build. And for a while, ambition was the best thing that ever happened to you. You became sharper. More focused. You stopped wasting time on things that didn't matter. You found a version of yourself that was capable of more than you knew. You looked back at who you were a year ago and felt a genuine sense of growth. That feeling is real. That version of ambition is real. And it is worth protecting. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. And the shift was so gradual that most people don't notice it until they're already deep inside it. The drive that once felt like wind in your sails started to feel like a current pulling you under. You stopped sleeping well, not because you were lazy, but because your mind wouldn't stop running calculations. What else needs doing? What am I missing? What if this doesn't work? You started comparing. And not just casually. You started opening Instagram or LinkedIn and feeling something that you couldn't quite name, part envy, part anger, part shame. Someone younger was doing more. Someone with fewer resources had figured it out. And your own progress, which, objectively, was real and significant, felt small in comparison. You hit a goal and felt nothing. Well, not nothing exactly. A brief exhale. A moment that lasted maybe a day, maybe an afternoon. And then the hunger came back, bigger than before, and the goal you just reached already looked small from where you were now standing. Maybe you told yourself, this is just the cost of being serious. This is what it takes. You can't build something meaningful without sacrifice. And so you kept going. But what if that's not the cost of ambition? What if that's the signal, a quiet, persistent signal, that something has gone wrong? Ambitious people are extraordinarily good at finding someone who has more. More results. More recognition. More followers, more revenue, more impact, more ease, more of whatever currency matters in your world. And the moment you find that person, your own progress, which is real, which is significant, suddenly feels irrelevant. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, first described by Leon Festinger in 1954. The insight is this: we don't evaluate our lives by absolute standards. We evaluate them relative to the people around us. And relative to the people we see. In 1954, your reference group was your neighborhood. Your colleagues. Maybe your extended family. A manageable number of people with fairly similar circumstances. In 2024, your reference group is everyone who has ever posted a highlight reel online. Everyone who shows you their best day, their best result, their best angle, and never the anxiety, the debt, the relationship problems, the years of failure before the breakthrough. And so the ambitious person compares their full, complicated, behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's curated performance. And comes up short. Every time. By design. This is not a motivation problem. It is not a mindset problem. It is a comparison trap that has been engineered by platforms that profit from your dissatisfaction. You can't win a race you never chose to enter, but ambition will make you run it anyway. The third dark side, and perhaps the most psychologically damaging, is the perfectionism trap. Ambitious people often confuse high standards with perfectionism. They treat them as synonyms. They are not. And the difference matters enormously. High standards say, I want this to be excellent. I care about quality. I will push this further than most people would. Perfectionism says, if this is not perfect, I am not enough. If I fail at this, it confirms my deepest fear, that I don't actually deserve to be here. One is a commitment to craft. The other is a defense mechanism against shame. High standards push you forward. Perfectionism holds you hostage. Think about how perfectionism shows up in your life. Not as a grand refusal, but in the small, daily ways. The project you haven't launched because it's not ready yet, and it's been not ready yet for 8 months. The email you rewrote 6 times and still didn't send. The idea you never shared in the meeting because you weren't sure how it would land. The apology you never gave because the words weren't quite right. Perfectionism kills things before they can live. It kills projects. It kills relationships, because no human being can consistently meet a perfectionist standard, and eventually they stop trying. It kills rest, because rest feels like falling behind. It kills joy, because nothing is ever quite good enough to celebrate. And here is the cruelest part of all. Perfectionism often wears ambition's clothes. From the outside, it looks identical. The late nights. The incredible attention to detail. The relentless drive. The refusal to settle. A perfectionist and a genuinely ambitious person can be doing the same things, at the same hours, with the same intensity. But inside, One is propelled by vision, by love of the work, by a genuine desire to build something great. The other is running from the terror of being found out, of being exposed as insufficient, of failing publicly, of being ordinary. One is free. The other is in a very comfortable, very productive prison. Ask yourself honestly, when you push yourself, when you stay late, when you refuse to let something be less than perfect, is that coming from a place of genuine care for what you're building? Or is it coming from a place of fear? Take your time with that question. It may be the most important one in this video. Let's go deeper now. Because the costs of unexamined ambition don't stay in your head. They move into your body, your relationships, and eventually, into your sense of who you are. The first cost is physical. We are not machines. This is obvious when someone says it out loud, and yet the culture of ambition treats it as a weakness, as if acknowledging that your body has needs is somehow a failure of character. Here's what actually happens physiologically when you sustain high drive without adequate recovery. Your hypothalamus activates your adrenal glands. They release cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate elevates. Your digestion slows. Blood flows away from your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for clear thinking, emotional regulation, creativity, and toward your muscles. Because your brain believes you are under threat. This is the stress response. And in short bursts, it is extraordinary. It sharpens focus, increases strength, heightens awareness. The problem is that it was designed for short bursts. A predator. A crisis. Not a quarterly review cycle. Not a 5-year growth plan. When the stress response becomes chronic, when cortisol is elevated week after week, month after month, the body begins to break down. Sleep quality drops. Immune function weakens. Inflammatory markers rise. Cognitive function, the very thing you're relying on to build the thing, begins to deteriorate. And eventually, the system crashes. Burnout is not a metaphor. It is a clinical state recognized by the World Health Organization, characterized by exhaustion, increased mental detachment from one's work, and a decline in performance. It is the predictable endpoint of sustained, unmanaged pressure without adequate recovery. And here is the irony that ambitious people almost never see coming: burnout doesn't announce itself as burnout. It announces itself as laziness, as weakness, as losing your edge. You wake up tired and push through. You lose motivation and decide you need more discipline. You feel creatively empty and conclude that you're not trying hard enough. You diagnose the symptom as the disease. And so you apply more pressure. And the real problem deepens. The second cost is relational. This one is harder to talk about, because it doesn't show up on any performance review. No one gives you feedback that says, "Great work this quarter, but you've been emotionally absent from everyone who loves you." Think about the people in your life who matter most. Your partner. Your children. Your closest friends. Your parents, while they're still here. Now think, honestly, about the quality of your presence with them. Not whether you were in the room. Whether you were actually there. Not half listening while mentally composing tomorrow's pitch. Not sitting at the dinner table while your phone buzzed with notifications you pretended not to notice. Not saying, "I'm listening," while your eyes tracked the door. Ambition has a quiet, persistent way of making the urgent crowd out the important. And the people who love you rarely make the urgent list, because they are patient, and they don't have deadlines, and they keep assuming there will be more time. Until there isn't. There is a particular loneliness that ambitious people rarely name. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who are proud of you, and still feeling completely alone. Because the part of you that needs connection, that craves real intimacy, that wants to be known and not just admired, that part has been pushed to the margins. It doesn't fit on the roadmap. The tragedy isn't that ambitious people don't love the people around them. It's that they show up too tired to prove it. The third cost is the most existential. It is the loss of meaning. Here's a paradox that destroys some of the most driven people on Earth. You can achieve exactly what you set out to achieve. You can cross every item off the list, hit every target, win every recognition you pursued. And still, on the other side of all of it, feel utterly, bewilderingly empty. Not because achievement is meaningless, but because the achievement was built on someone else's definition of success. Think about how you developed your goals. Really think about it. How many of them are genuinely yours, born from deep reflection about what you actually value, what actually makes your life feel rich and worth living? And how many of them are inherited? Borrowed from a parent's expectations. Absorbed from a culture that says, more is always better. Adopted from a comparison to someone you admired, or envied, or feared becoming less than. Driven by a need for external validation, for proof that you are enough, that you matter, that the years weren't wasted. You can spend a decade building someone else's dream and call it ambition. And when you arrive, it will feel exactly like visiting a city you never wanted to go to. Real enough. Just not yours. What are you sacrificing, right now, today, this year, without fully realizing it? I want you to sit with that question. Not answer it defensively. Not dismiss it because you've worked too hard to hear something so inconvenient. Really sit with it. Because the people who pause, who take the discomfort of genuine self-examination, those are the ones who eventually build something that actually sustains them. Something that doesn't just look impressive from the outside, but feels right from the inside. So, should you stop being ambitious? Should you lower the bar? Settle for less? Make peace with mediocrity and call it balance? No. Absolutely not. I want to be clear, everything we've explored so far, the dopamine loop, the comparison trap, the perfectionism, the burnout, the relational cost, the loss of meaning, none of that is an argument against ambition. It is an argument against unexamined ambition. Against ambition that operates without self-awareness. Against ambition that has become a runaway train with no one in the driver's seat. Ambition, at its core, is one of the most extraordinary capacities a human being can possess. The will to build something. To grow past your current limits. To create things that didn't exist before. To leave the world, in some way, however small, better than you found it. That capacity is worth fighting for. What needs to change is not the presence of ambition. What needs to change is its direction. Its relationship to your identity. Its relationship to your values, your body, your people, your sense of what enough actually means. The problem was never that you wanted too much. The problem is that no one ever taught you how to want with intention. How to build without burning. How to reach without losing yourself in the reaching. So let's change that. Right now. Let's start with a fundamental reframe. There are two kinds of ambition. And they can look nearly identical from the outside. But they are built on entirely different foundations, and they lead to entirely different destinations. The first kind I'll call reactive ambition. Reactive ambition is driven by what you're running away from. By fear of being ordinary. By the need to prove yourself to people who doubted you, or to a version of yourself that felt insufficient. By comparison, by the constant awareness of where you sit relative to others. By an inner voice that says, you're not there yet. You're not enough yet. Keep going. Reactive ambition can be extraordinarily productive in the short term. Fear is a powerful fuel. Shame is a powerful fuel. The need for external validation can get you out of bed at 5 a.m. and keep you working past midnight for years. But it corrodes the person doing it. Because no achievement ever satisfies it. No arrival ever quiets the voice. The fuel requires more and more of you over time, and eventually it burns you from the inside out. The second kind is what I'll call intentional ambition. Intentional ambition is driven by what you're building toward. By a genuine connection to your values, to what you actually care about, what you want your life to express, what kind of person you want to become. It is fueled not by fear but by love. Love of the work, love of the craft, love of the people your work might serve. Toxic ambition says, I will be enough when I achieve this. Intentional ambition says, I am building this because it expresses who I already am. Do you feel the difference? One is conditional. One is rooted. One treats achievement as the source of your worth. The other treats achievement as the expression of it. This distinction is not just philosophical. It has real, measurable effects on performance, resilience, and well-being. Research in self-determination theory, developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan over decades, consistently finds that people driven by intrinsic motivation, by genuine interest, by meaning, by alignment with their values, outperform people driven by external rewards or fear-based motivation, especially over time. They are more creative, more persistent in the face of setbacks, and significantly more satisfied with their lives. The goal, then, is not to become less ambitious. It is to migrate your ambition from reactive to intentional. Now let's talk about the architecture that makes that possible. The first piece is identity. Most people set goals. Fewer people shift their identity to match those goals. And the identity shift is where everything changes. Here's what I mean. If you say, I want to become a writer, you are describing a destination. And destinations are fragile. On the days you don't feel motivated, the destination still feels far away. The goal still feels like something outside of you, something you have to achieve before you can claim the identity. But if you say, I am a writer, even before the book deal, even before the audience, even before the finished manuscript, something different happens. Your behavior begins to align with the identity. Writers write. That's what they do. Not because they're motivated today. Because that's who they are. James Clear calls this identity-based habit formation. And it is one of the most powerful levers for sustained change I've ever encountered. The key question shifts from, what do I want to achieve, to, who do I want to become? And then every daily action becomes a vote for or against that identity. 2 votes for the writer. 1 vote against. 3 votes for. The identity strengthens. The behavior becomes less effortful. The ambition stops being something you have to maintain and becomes something you simply are. The second piece is self-compassion, and I want to spend real time here, because this is the piece that ambitious people most consistently resist. Self-compassion sounds soft. It sounds like the opposite of drive. Like making excuses. Like settling. It is none of those things. Dr. Kristen Neff, who has done more research on self-compassion than perhaps anyone alive, defines it simply as treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a good friend who was struggling. That's it. Nothing mystical. Just basic decency, directed inward instead of always outward. And what the research shows, consistently, across study after study, is that self-compassion is associated with greater motivation, not less. With more resilience after failure, not less accountability. With better long-term performance, not worse. Because here's the brutal math of the harsh inner critic: when you beat yourself up after a failure or a setback, you activate the body's threat response. The same cortisol spike. The same fight or flight activation. And a brain in threat mode does not have access to its best creative thinking. It does not learn efficiently. It contracts. A brain that can acknowledge failure without catastrophizing it, that can say, this didn't work. I can learn from this. I will try again. That brain stays open. Curious. Adaptive. It performs better in the long run, every time. Ambition without self-compassion is a car running on fumes. You'll go fast. And then you'll stop completely. The third piece is what I'll call the container. Intentional ambition requires a boundary. A deliberate definition of what enough means in your life, not in theory, not someday, but right now. Not enough as in, I'll stop caring. Not as in settling or shrinking. Enough as in, I know what I'm building, I know why I'm building it, and I know, with clarity and conviction, what the rest of my life is not for sale. My health is not for sale. My presence with my children is not for sale. My sleep is not for sale. My one irreplaceable hour of creative thinking every morning is not for sale. Without this container, ambition will expand to fill every hour you give it. It is not satisfied by nature. The dopamine loop does not self-regulate. It will always ask for more time, more energy, more sacrifice. And if you don't consciously decide what's off the table, everything eventually ends up on it. Define the container. Protect what's inside it. Then fill the rest with everything you have. That is intentional ambition. And it is more powerful, more sustainable, more creative, more fulfilling than anything reactive ambition could produce. Let's make this practical. Not general wisdom, specific, actionable moves you can start this week. Step 1. Define enough in writing. Not in your head. On paper. Literally, physically, write it down. What does a life well lived look like to you at the end of this year? Not just the professional slide, the whole picture. What does your health feel like? What are your relationships like? What are you doing for joy, for creativity, for connection, that has nothing to do with productivity? How much do you sleep? What do your mornings feel like? Write the full picture. And then, critically, ask yourself, does the pace I'm currently operating at lead to this picture, or away from it? This is not a comfortable exercise. Most ambitious people, when they genuinely do it, discover a significant gap between the life they're building and the life they actually want. That gap is important information. It is not an indictment, it is a compass correction. When you have your enough written down, you have something to orient toward. A way to evaluate decisions not just by whether they advance the career, but by whether they serve the life. Step 2. Anchor your habits to identity. Take 2 or 3 behaviors that matter to you, that are connected to who you want to become, and reframe them as identity statements. Instead of, I want to exercise more, say, I am someone who takes care of their body. Instead of, I'm trying to read more, say, I am a reader. Instead of, I should meditate, say, I am someone who creates space for stillness. Then do the smallest possible version of that behavior, every day, consistently. A 5-minute walk. 3 pages. 2 minutes of quiet. The duration is almost irrelevant. The identity vote is everything. Over time, the identity solidifies. And the behavior requires less willpower, less negotiation, less motivation, because it's simply what you do. Because it's who you are. Step 3. Schedule recovery, and treat it as seriously as your most important meeting. Put rest on your calendar. Literally, block it. Not, I'll rest when I've earned it, that day will never come. Ambition does not reach a point where it says, okay, you've done enough. Rest now. You have to choose rest deliberately, or it will be perpetually deferred. What does scheduled recovery look like in practice? It looks different for everyone. But consider, 1 morning per week that belongs to no deliverable. 1 evening that belongs to no one's agenda but yours and the people you love. 1 chunk of time each week that is explicitly not productive, that exists for restoration, for pleasure, for being a full human being rather than an output-generating machine. And when that time comes, protect it. Not with guilt, but with the understanding that it is not separate from your performance, it is part of it. Elite athletes don't train without recovery. They know that the adaptation happens in the rest. Your brain operates on the same principle. Step 4. Fall in love with the process. This is perhaps the most transformative shift available to you, and it is also the hardest one for outcome-oriented people to make. The dopamine loop, as we've discussed, is fed by arrival. By outcomes. by crossing things off and moving the target. And so the ambitious person becomes expert at the next thing, the bigger thing, and increasingly unable to be present to the thing that's actually happening. Here's what helps: a weekly practice of reviewing not just what you accomplished, but how you showed up. Not just the outputs, the inputs. At the end of each week, ask, what did I learn this week? What did I do that expressed the person I'm becoming? Where did I show up with full presence and genuine effort? Where did I give it everything I had? These are different questions from, did I hit my numbers? Did I move fast enough? Did I do enough? The second set of questions keeps you on the dopamine treadmill, always reaching, never arriving. The first set builds a relationship with the work itself. A relationship that is intrinsically rewarding, that doesn't depend on external outcomes, and that is sustainable for decades rather than quarters. When you fall in love with the process, genuinely, not as a platitude but as a practice, ambition becomes something you can carry for a lifetime. Because the reward is available every day. Step 5. Conduct a quarterly full life audit. Every 3 months, set aside 2 hours, go somewhere you won't be interrupted, and look honestly at your whole life. Not just the work. All of it. Health. How's your body doing? Are you sleeping? Eating? Moving? Resting? Relationships. Who have you shown up for this quarter? Who have you been absent from? Which connections have you been quietly neglecting? Joy and creativity. Have you done anything this quarter purely for the pleasure of it? Have you laughed deeply? Have you made something with no strategic purpose whatsoever? Meaning, does the work still feel connected to something that matters to you? Or has it become habit, inertia, default? Growth. What have you learned? What have you become? Are you a richer person than you were 90 days ago? Richer not just in results, but in wisdom, in depth, in the quality of your attention. This audit is not designed to make you feel guilty. It is designed to help you course correct before the drift becomes irreversible. A 10-minute honest conversation with yourself every quarter is worth more than a year of quiet regret. We've been through a lot together in this video. And I want to take a moment, before we close, to acknowledge something. If parts of this felt personal, that's not an accident. These patterns, the dopamine loop, the comparison, the perfectionism, the burnout, the relational drift, the borrowed goals, they are not rare. They are not signs of unusual weakness. They are extraordinarily common among people who care deeply, who work hard, who want to make something of their lives. You are not broken for having experienced them. You are human. And you are, clearly, someone who is willing to look honestly at hard things. That matters. We've looked at the real cost of unexamined ambition, the nights, the loneliness, the hollow moments at the top of goals that felt wrong once you arrived. We've named what most motivational content carefully avoids, that the very thing driving you can also be the thing quietly hollowing you out. And we've looked at what lies on the other side. Not less ambition. Not a smaller life. Not lowering the bar. A different kind of ambition. Truer. More sustainable. More yours. Conscious. Intentional. Led by values rather than fear. Fueled by genuine love for the work rather than hunger for external proof. Built to carry you not just to the next milestone, but through a whole life. You don't need to kill your ambition. You need to lead it. There is a version of you, not far from where you are standing right now, who builds extraordinary things and comes home present. Who achieves something rare and can actually feel it when it happens, can let it land, can be grateful for it without immediately reaching for the next thing. Who runs hard and knows when to stop running. Who wants more and is genuinely, deeply grateful for what is here. That version of you is not less ambitious. That version of you is more powerful. Because you are no longer running from something. You are building towards something, with your eyes open, your values intact, your health protected, and the people you love still in the room. You don't need to kill your ambition. You just need to lead it. That's the whole message. That's all of it. Not a technique. Not a hack. A different relationship with the force inside you. Carry it with you. Before you close this video, I want to ask you one question. Just one. What does ambition mean to you now? Not what it meant before you pressed play. Not the version you inherited or absorbed or adopted without fully examining. What does it mean to you right now, in this moment, after sitting with all of this? Write it down. Even one sentence. Drop it in the comments below. Because that reflection, that honest, considered answer, is not the end of the work. It is the beginning of it. And if any part of this conversation felt true for you, if you recognized yourself in any of it, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Not to promote the video. Because you might genuinely change something for someone today. And that is the best use of 10 seconds I can imagine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the hard, honest work of looking at yourself clearly. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.